Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfalla.
And Ray Alfalla is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Pekin Freeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the Vrs Telemetry Logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Hello race fans, and welcome to the World Centre of Racing, the Daytona International Speedway, for this round of the Apex Racing Academy GT4 VRS Super Series. My name is Peter Mackay, and joining me in the commentary box today, Sam Fitzpatrick is otherwise engaged, so I have the company of Disco Dane Baird. Dane, how are you this evening, sir?
Yeah, thanks, Peter. I'm doing just fine, and we're here at the brilliant Daytona International Speedway using probably the subjectively worst layout on the circuit of all the layouts that we could have chosen. The IMSA Michelin Pilot Series chose definitely the worst one, but we're here at the NASCAR road course with the chicane after NASCAR turns 3 and 4. It's going to be very interesting to see how these GT4 cars handle that, and the drivers are just starting their qualifying laps, and we're going to see some time set on the board in just a few moments' time.
Absolutely, yeah. This I've had the incredible privilege of traveling to this facility in the real world for this year's edition of the Rolex 24 Hours at Daytona, and what a race it was. And if we can forgive the chicane, which has sort of been plastered on there in the last couple of months, we'll forgive that chicane. But this facility is a wonderful, wonderful track and host to one of the proper endurance racing classics anywhere in the world. And it's going to be a real treat for these GT4 cars. Really a chance to stretch these cars to their full limit of speed when they come out of the infield and get up onto those high banks. It's going to be really good fun indeed. Of course, as you mentioned, Dane, both in sim and in the real world, the Michelin Pilot Challenge do come here in the real world for a 4-hour race on the day before the Rolex 24 Hour at Daytona. And of course, here in the Apex Academy GT4 series, we have 2 cars to choose from. We have the Porsche Cayman 718 GT4, a lovely mid-engined, naturally aspirated 425 horsepower machine. And then we have this, the BMW M4, a bit more of a bruiser. This is a muscle car, front-engined, straight 6, but with 2 twin turbochargers. And Dane, you've driven both of these cars, you know what they're like. The BMW a bit more of a dragster in a straight line, so could be that it suits this Daytona International Speedway a bit more.
That's definitely how the Apex Racing Academy coaches have found it. They definitely feel that the BMW has the advantage here with the very long, well, I want to say straights, but they're just flat out banked sections of the circuit. And as such, they decided that the BMW is going to have 10 kilograms or 22 pounds, depending on your units of choice, of ballast in their car to try and even the playing field just a little bit for the Porsches. And that's going to make things a little bit different to how it would be in the iRacing IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge, which the series mirrors in terms of schedule. And we've got 4 minutes down in qualifying, a couple of drivers setting some times. Thomas Wangen currently on top. Only 3 drivers have actually set times though. We'll wait to see what the rest of the drivers can do.
Indeed, yes. We'll see what the times will be as we come through this new chicane. As all these big, oh god, those curbs are pretty violent as well. As they normally that charge into pit lane can be really quick, and just trying to get that braking point is very tricky in the race. But yes, Patrick Sokolowski sitting on pole position right now with a 2-minute flat 0.873, with Mihail Velikov, the AM class contender, just half a second back. So Mihail, well, the one thing, Dana, is Mihail is not short of aggression, that's for sure, and he's had his elbows out all season long, but he's been rewarded with some pretty good bag of championship points, and he's right in there in the battle with Pontus Overstrom for the AM class honours.
Definitely, it's quite close up at the top of the standings, and Joel Evans was leading the championship into this round, but he did receive a penalty for some incidents in the last round at Mid-Ohio, so he's actually lost the lead of the championship because of that, and that's going to make him, I think it's probably going to spur him on a bit more for this race. Currently sitting in 3rd in qualifying, but we've only got a fairly small field. Only 13 cars have actually entered this race, which is a bit disappointing, but it's going to be interesting to see how those 13 cars manage this pretty tricky Daytona road course.
Well, indeed, and of course, Joel Evans, he came to the Charlotte Roval, which is a very similar layout to the Daytona International Speedway road course, and Evans was dominant there. 2 wins on the day. Very impressive indeed. So do watch for him. This type of layout clearly suits him, and of course, that chicane there that they've entered here at Daytona is very similar to the one that they've put in at the Charlotte Roval. Of course, the 2 tracks are owned by the same company, the France family, who own NASCAR, and of course IMSA is owned by that same family as well. So their offices, number 1 Daytona International Speedway Drive in Daytona Beach. What an address to have.
Yeah, that's a pretty nice one to have. But definitely, we've seen quite a few cars out on track. They're very close at the top. There are only 2 tenths separating the top 3 drivers. We're currently looking at Joel Evans, who I just mentioned a few moments ago. Patrick Sokolowski currently leading with a 2-minute 0.873. It's going to be interesting to see how these drivers can maybe try and close that gap up a little bit. They have got a lap or 2 still to go.
They do. They're out for their solo qualifying session, which is always nice to get a bit of clean air to get into a rhythm as well. Of course, the Rolex 24 here at Daytona, one of the sports car races that any driver wants to win, and it has some really prestigious winners. Hurley Hayward won here 5 times. Scott Pruitt, 5 victories as well. Scott Dixon is now a 3-time winner here at the Rolex 24 Hour at Daytona. So his sports car career been very successful indeed. But the most successful car, Dane, you'd be surprised, is actually a Riley. Is the car that's won the most races. 13 Rolex 24 outright victories for the Riley DP.
Oh, that's pretty interesting stuff. Daytona 24 Hours, pretty much the first of the major endurance races in the real world season. Maybe the Dubai 24 Hours is probably the first one, I think, and then it's the Daytona Rolex 24. This year, in fact, the iRacing version of the Daytona 24 Hours was the first international endurance race where all 24 hours were actually broadcasted live and were completed, because the Dubai 24 Hours was cancelled because of, funnily enough, rain in the desert, which was a pretty big shock, but they didn't finish all 24 hours. So the first 24-hour race to be completed internationally in sports cars was actually the iRacing Daytona 24 hours, which I was lucky enough to be on the broadcast team for. It was a fantastic event, and all the drivers seem to have finished qualifying. They're not going to get any more times finished, with just over 9 minutes done in the session. They've only got 10 minutes, so anyone that's not already about to finish a lap is not going to finish their lap.
Nope, and we'll be ready to go for the opening sprint race. And of course, here at Daytona, there's so much drafting opportunity up on the high banks. Now, these GT4 cars aren't known so much for massive draft gain, but it will certainly be a factor as they reach top speed on the big high bankings of Daytona. Of course, all of the runners as part of this Apex Racing Academy series have access to advice from the Apex Racing Academy coaches and, crucially, setups for these cars. So all the Porsche runners run with the same setup, as do the BMWs with a setup for them. And that allows the drivers to practice during the week in the Michelin Pilot Challenge official races, and then come here for the Apex Racing Academy Super Series on a Tuesday night. So let's see how they line up then for this opening race of the evening. Patrick Sokolowski on pole position, with Joel Evans just a 1/10 of a second behind, but not too far behind at all. In the second row of the grid, Roger Christiansen and Thomas Wangen for Team White Vikings, both within 2/10 of a second. So the top four covered by just 2/10. Then on row 3, it's an all-AM class row 3. Mihail Velikov and Pontus Overstrom, who had such a good round last time out at Mid-Ohio. On the 4th row will be Mike Pollard and Matthias Beer, the German Austin Powers, as we call him. Harry Brooks will start in 9th alongside Will Newell for Iridium Motorsports. Chris Rea will begin 11th, followed by Greg Hubler. And finally, Jeff Miner in the BMW. So our drivers are gathering up behind the Porsche 911 pace car for actually what will be a pretty short parade to the green flag then.
Yeah, it looks like we're starting just after the bus stop, or just before the bus stop actually, it looks like. So there's the first of the 2 chicanes on the NASCAR oval before they head in towards what would be the tri-oval, which is going to be the start line for our race. Pace car will pull off into the pit lane and we'll get underway. Fairly small grid, only 13 drivers. That's 6 full rows and 1 car of Jeff Miner right at the back on his own. He's going to have all the space in the world. When it comes to the start of this race, it's a very tricky braking zone into turn number 1. They won't be going as high a speed as they normally would without the NASCAR chicane, but it's still very tricky coming off the banking, braking whilst turning. Going to be interesting to see how all of these drivers manage that, because it's certainly one of the most tricky turn 1s that we've faced this season. And the lights are coming onto the screen, which means the pace car is about to pull away. There it goes. And the field will be under pacing speed as we come through the bus stop. Everyone's going to give themselves some room.
Yep, you'll just see riding on board with Patrick Sokolowski, the pole sitter, in his Cayman Championship leader. What can he do today? I think it's going to be a brilliant battle between himself and Joel Evans. He's sitting there, got the car primed. He's got it in a nice low gear. Now, interesting this, Dane, because normally behind the safety car, you'd see the cars running on quite low revs, but I noticed quite a few of the drivers sitting at pretty high revs, and I think they're trying to burn off fuel, because, of course, they're all starting with the same fuel, which is maybe a little bit too much, and they're all just burning it off to try and gain those crucial few grams. You can tell they're competitive.
Absolutely, trying to get as much of an edge over their opponents as possible. They're going to come through the chicane now. I would really like to see them take the single file. Those curbs on the side of the track marking out that chicane, they don't look too bad. Oh, but it looks like we're going green. The pace car pulls off, and there we go to start race number 1.
Here we go then. Patrick Sokolowski gets the launch, but Joel Evans, he's coming to look round the outside. That's a difficult move to make happen. Sokolowski goes, oh, dearie me, I think that really caught Joel Evans out there. Patrick Sokolowski a little bit earlier on the brakes than Joel Evans expected. Evans had to duck out of it, and now he's got the 116 of Wangen right behind him in the Team Vikings Porsche.
Oh dear, looks like Greg Hubler's had a bit of an issue in turn one. I just saw him going off in the background of that shot, and he's dropped to the bottom of the timing tower. To see what happened to the American in a few moments' time, but it is Sokolowski that leads this race with Evans just behind him. Thomas Wangen, we can see that, just in third. And then there's a little bit of a gap to Roger Christensen, but not too much. But we're going to see as they come around the final corner of the infield, they're going to head back onto the oval, and we're going to see how the drafting plays into this race. It says lap 1 of 99, but it is only a 20-minute race, I believe.
That's correct. Yes, 20-minute, and then we have our 40-minute with a 25-minute. My apologies, with a 40-minute feature as well, with a partially reversed grid, which always throws up some spice to proceedings. So we're riding on board with Will Newell in the Iridium Motorsports Porsche. He's getting into the draft of Mike Pollard. He's going for a move here, big lunge. We've got a couple of BMWs going straight, Matthias Beer and I think Pontus Overstrom as well, but Newell can he get the move done? He's got the move done out of the bus stop. I don't think he's got the pace. He does. He gets the run on Pollard, and Pontus Overstrom has to serve a slowdown penalty for straight lining the bus stop chicane.
A couple of BMW drivers getting caught out by the chicane, not too sure. Didn't look like they were close enough to have made contact just ahead of them. And we were focusing on Newell making that lunge up the inside. But it looks like it was Harry Brooks that was the other BMW to be caught out by that. It wasn't Matthias Beer. But here we've got a battle going on for what looks like second position. That's Joel Evans just ahead of Wangen. About half a second separating them. Meanwhile, Patrick Sokolowski from the lead of this race starting to build up a little bit of a gap. And once he gets out of the drafting range, it's going to be very difficult for the drivers behind him to catch.
That's going to be critical, absolutely. And for Joel Evans, he's got to worry about Wangen and Christensen being in his draft, because they will not they will not delay in making a move to try and get past. And of course then that will slow down Joel Evans and allow Sokolowski to escape further. So this is a critical point in the championship for both Sokolowski and Evans. They're the two standout performers of the season. The Team Vikings guys have threatened quite a few times. They've had some good pace in qualifying, but just not been able to absolutely execute and get the wins in the races. Made a couple of small errors that have really cost them. But Thomas Wangen and Roger Christensen will really be wanting to put that right today. But what can you say about this man, Mikhail Velikov, in the AM class? He's certainly not shy of a scrap, but he is driving beautifully today for the Nyayuka factory team.
Definitely in his number 223 car, opting for the Porsche, and you can see the BMW behind him with Matthias Beer catching at a very substantial rate at the end of that straight there. Bit of help from the draft. These Porsche 718s don't give up much draft at all, but the extra straight line speed and acceleration of the BMW allowed him to just close that gap. He's going to do it again. About a second is the gap. He wasn't as fast through the chicane, but he's going to catch him now. You can see on the relative in the bottom right hand corner, catching him once again at the end of the straight sections, and loses a little bit of time once again. Oh, we've got a car around in the chicane, up over the curbs. Oh, and that's big contact.
Oh, Will Newell, he just got a bit loose, and Jeff Miner clipped him on the way through. Oh, well, that's another one for our... we can add him to our We Hate That Chicane campaign, Dane.
Yeah, definitely. They just got stuck on the curb there. I think the massive curbs that they have there just caught him, and yeah, looks like Newell had nowhere to go, just straight.
Yeah, indeed, and it's amazing the difference of people say, oh, we hate chicanes, but actually the bus stop chicane is a wonderful bit of track. You've really got to just pick your line and just cut a nice slice through the bus stop chicane and keep that momentum up. It's a really challenging section But that the second chicane, the one that's just been added, sort of almost stuck on in the last couple of months for the NASCAR road race, is really a bit of, it's not my favourite corner at all. However, I shall not let it get in the way of my love for this facility. I have to say, having been here in the real world, it is just impossible not to be amazed by this facility, and of course the Rolex 24-hour that runs here. And Joel Evans, well, he's just grabbing that tiny little draft, whatever draft is there, he's grabbing onto it. Now let's see if he's later on the brakes on Sokolowski. They're very evenly matched, keeping as far to the left as he can, and then back on that power. Oh, Sokolowski gets slowed down for that. That'll be a slowdown, surely, Dane.
You'd think so, but it doesn't look like he's going to give up any time at all. He's still going very much flat out. Once you have completed a couple of laps in iRacing's slowdown system, maybe, no, he's just going for the chicane. Is he going to give up some time here? I don't think he got a penalty for that.
Wow, that was close. I mean, I'm sure he will have got an off-track penalty, but just an incident point, which is very minor indeed. I could have sworn that was worthy of the slowdown for cutting the track. He won't have done it intentionally. You're always trying to get on the power as early as you possibly can coming out the bus stop, and that probably indicates just how tricky a corner actually is to get right in.
Yeah, definitely the bus stop, one of the trickiest corners in the circuit. All the corners here are pretty tricky, even if they look fairly straightforward. They've all got little quirks to make them slightly more difficult than what originally meets the eye. But Joel Evans right on the back of Sokolowski now, almost nothing separating them, maybe a couple of car lengths, and he's definitely catching right up to the back. They're going to enter the NASCAR oval once again in just a corner's time for what I believe is the fourth time.
It is indeed, yeah. So they come out of the West Horseshoe, turn 6, turn 7, and onto the high bankings of Daytona, right up to top gear, and Evans is right in the draft here. This is the championship battle playing out. Now look at that. Sokolowski dropping one tyre down into the yellow line and then moves across, giving Joel Evans, well, about a Porsche Cayman's width and no more. Now he goes to the inside. Can Evans make this move? He's putting a lot of pressure on Sokolowski, asking him a lot of questions, and Sokolowski defends, but Joel Evans has definitely got the pace underneath that car. So here he goes, just getting the draft more and more and more. Will he make a move into the chicane?
He's going to have to make a move to not run into the back of Patrick. There he is, less than a tenth separating them. He just drops back for the chicane. Oh, he's got a much better run. Is he going to get a better exit? It looks like he hasn't got the worst exit. Patrick has managed to get a very good one, actually. He's managed to increase the gap just a bit. But there's Thomas Wangen. He's looking ahead at this and thinking, yes, battle so I can catch up to you.
Yeah, this is perfect for Thomas Wangen, and just Joel Evans is doing exactly what he needs to do, just filling Patrick Sokolowski's mirrors, not allowing him to get away, but also making sure that he is watching his mirror all the time, and that just takes those couple of tenths away every lap. And Joel Evans right on the bumper. This is a brilliant race unfolding here at Daytona International Speedway. Always good racing here, and of course they're about to go round onto the NASCAR oval once more, past Lake Lloyd, which they actually used to, was of course an enormous strip of water in the middle of the track, where they actually used to do some powerboat racing on Lake Lloyd.
Oh, you learn something new every day, I guess. And definitely self-proclaimed world center of racing, but it lives up to that name, and it looks like Sokolowski has got a fairly poor exit. Evans getting back in that draft, but as they swoop down towards the double yellow line, he gained a bit of speed coming down the banking. Gravity is his friend, and Evans not as close this time as he was last time by, and this is not going to be an opportunity for him to make a move. He's going to try and get the best exit possible though, and it doesn't look like he's got that either.
Well, he's Sokolowski just edged it. You've got to be, these GT4 machines, it's silly to say that a car with 425 horsepower is underpowered, but relative to the weight, they do feel slightly underpowered. Of course, they're not all that different to the street cars that they're based upon. So the Porsche Cayman GT4 road car is 1,425 kilograms, and the race car, this one, is 1,325 kilograms. So there's not much difference at all in weight, but obviously and in terms of power, they're exactly the same. So, but they do have incredible braking performance. They have GT3 car brakes, as the BMW does. So they have plenty of braking performance, but keeping that momentum up in these cars is so important, because they do not have the big horsepower to get to square the corner off and squirt out the corner if you have lost that momentum.
They're definitely a very different sort of beast to the GT3s. When these cars came out a few seasons ago now, in terms of iRacing seasons, everyone was expecting to just be a sort of slower, slightly easier to drive version of the GT3 cars, but they've turned out to be anything but. They handle entirely different, and they're a completely different driving style, which a lot of drivers actually favor. So we've got a little bit of a battle going on here for 7th position. Harry Brooks, Mike Pollard and Chris Rear.
Yeah, I find that the braking zones are incredibly short for the speeds, and that certainly makes making an overtaking maneuver quite difficult, I find. The M4 GT4 actually uses a direct clone. The M6 GT3 car donates its brakes to the GT4 machine, so, and obviously got a lot less speed to slow down from, so the braking performance in both the M4 and the Porsche is massive. So that does make it quite tricky for overtaking, but really satisfying to drive. But this is an interesting, good run from Harry Brooks, his first time in the championship. But this battle's still raging on at the front. And I tell you what, Dane, I tell you who's in perfect position is Thomas Wangen, because if anything happens to Evans and Sokolowski, if they get into a little bit of, let's just say, a championship brawl, and they have a little incident, Thomas Wangen will be first to pick up the pieces.
Definitely, he's just biding his time, about a second back from the leader, just chilling out in 3rd position, just waiting for his opportunity. If these two at the front, Evans and Sokolowski, decide they want to start having a bit of side-by-side action, Wangen's going to be right on the back of them, and potentially, if they decide to go side-by-side through maybe the bus stop or the NASCAR chicane, or even coming out of this infield section and back onto the banking, plenty of opportunities for Wangen to get a better exit and maybe just take the both of them on the oval.
Absolutely, yeah, he's certainly close enough to do that, is the Norwegian, Thomas Wangen. And he's dropped his teammate, Roger Christensen's dropped back 4 seconds behind Wangen at this stage. So he's obviously hit a little bit of an issue at some point, but yeah, and now look at this. Joel Evans got the big boogie going. Right, he's opening up all 425 horsepower of that flat 6, and here he goes. He's got the inside line. He's got his nose ahead. He's going to have the full car ahead. And what caught Sokolowski's eye there? He just didn't quite have it. But now look at this. Sokolowski's coming back side by side. This is NASCAR-esque, isn't it, Dane? They're coming down to the bus stop. Who's going to have the guts? Oh, wow! What a move from Sokolowski on the brakes.
That was brilliant stuff. I thought he might get a slowdown. He cut the bus stop quite a bit there, but he's okay. But yeah, the banking just became a bit flatter. It looks like he might have... No, he doesn't have a slowdown. Doesn't look like. But here's Wangen there. Those two going side by side helped him massively. He's only 4 tenths behind, side by side into the NASCAR chicane. Evans goes around the outside into the first part, and he's going to take the lead. He's got very wide. I said, they're almost a tap to the wall. Sokolowski's going to come back, but Wangen now, he has shown his face. He is definitely well and truly into this fight for the lead now. Sokolowski around the outside as we start lap number 8 in towards turn number 1, side by side. Still, he holds it around the outside. And he comes back. Wangen's going to go down the inside and take 2nd position.
Yeah, you just saw Wangen check it up there, seeing Sokolowski going wide. He just checked up and tried to square it off and go for the cutback, but Sokolowski has defended. Sokolowski's got to be so careful. He's got to be so careful here not to let Evans break the draft and get away, and I'm sure that's what Evans will try to do here. He just needs that slightest break, and if he just can lay down some qualifying laps, He might just be able to break away, but it's going to be a hard ask.
Absolutely. You saw how difficult it was for him to catch up to Sokolovsky, even with the limited draft that he did have. It's going to be a very difficult task for him to build up a gap. Rangan right on the back of these two drivers now. Had a really good opportunity to get up into second there, but he just couldn't make it work. He was stuck on the outside for turn at number 2, and that really didn't help his cause. But within a second of Evans, and about half a second, about 4/10 of a second separating each of the drivers, Sokolovsky seems to have a better run out of the oval. He seems to catch Evans pretty much every single lap. He extended advantage, or in this case, he's caught him.
Yeah.
Coming out of the oval. It's a bit weird because they're on the same setup.
Absolutely, I was just thinking that it's not that he's running less wing, but he definitely has an advantage on the straight. And I think, as you rightly say, Dane, I think that all comes down to that exit out of the slower corners. And look at this, Sokolowski round the outside. This is proper NASCAR-esque stuff. And again, he slams the door shut straight in Joel Evans' face. This is fantastic. To pull off a move as aggressive as that and do it cleanly is such a skill, Dane. That is really amazing to watch.
It's almost exactly the same as what Evans did on him a lap prior. Rangan still just 2/10 behind these two now. Just biding his time. He's only got just less than 10 minutes left. If he wants to make a move, he's got his teammate Roger Christensen in 4th position, about 4 seconds down. But these three in the battle for the lead. Joel Evans wanting to reclaim his lead at the top of the standings. Remember, this is round 5 of 7. Only 3 rounds left, 6 races. And we are halfway through the first of those 6. And Sokolowski doing a fantastic job, but he still has a lot to do.
He does. He has got his mirrors full of not 1, but 2 Porsche Caymans to worry about. And these guys, they have been the class of the field. And oh, now look at this, Mihail Velikov, he's got Matthias Beer on his case. Now remember, Mihail Velikov is in the AM class, so you'll see the little icon just to the left of the driver's name on the left hand side of your screen. If it's green, they're in the Pro class, and if it's red, they're in the AM class. So actually, Mihail Velikov is not racing against Matthias Beer in class, but he appears to be having a good old dust up with him anyway.
Well, the Pro Championship actually includes all of the AM drivers as well. The AM drivers sort of get their own mini championship, and it looks like he might go for a move around the outside as they're coming towards the bus stop. They are side by side, and he just has to pull out Velikov off the track. He goes. He's going to get a slowdown for that, but unfortunately for him, he's going to drop back quite a bit because, as we talked about, that momentum was very much lost. Sokolowski, meanwhile, managed to maintain his lead on lap number 9. And Joel Evans very close into the chicane. Somehow the two avoid making contact. Very close between these two. Almost nothing separated them as they came into that chicane. And they're going to start lap number 10 now. As close as ever.
Indeed, yes. Well, this is, I mean, the red arrows eat your heart out. This is close formation flying at its very best here. These guys racing really, really hard, absolutely playing for keeps, but there's no bumping and barging. Really clean, really respectful, really top-level stuff. I mean, we see, well, I'm going to use Petit Le Mans on Saturday on the iRacing service as an example, Dane, where you've got the very best sim racers in the world and some very high-profile names like Max Verstappen, Formula 1 ace, of course, and the driving standards on show there they weren't fantastic, I'll be honest. I mean, the lap times were incredible, but the actual conduct from between drivers wasn't the best. But these guys, they're showing that it can be done. You can race close and hard at the same time.
Yeah, and Petit Le Mans, over half of the drivers in the top split, the broadcasted split, didn't finish the race. Half the cars that started the race didn't finish, and here we started off with 13 cars, and we still have 13 cars in the race. These drivers being pretty clean. We've still got battles up and down the field, and none more exciting than this one for the lead. Riding on board with Joel Evans into the bus stop. Oh, and Sokolowski very loose on entry, sliding a lot mid-corner, and still somehow manages to come out with the advantage.
I don't know quite how he's keeping the momentum up. Like you said, absolutely all over the place. Big oversteer everywhere, and that's just not the way to keep the momentum up. But somehow he makes it work, almost Harry King style in the Carrera Cup in the UK, where he has a very much on the tiptoes driving style and really carries a lot of speed that way, but very difficult to get right consistently, but he's doing it. This is, well, we've only got, well, this is, I think will probably just be 2 more laps, actually, I think. They're about 2-minute laps, so, no, 3 more laps, my apologies. God, I'm good at maths. Three more laps to go then here at Daytona. Who's going to take it? Evans, Sokolowski, maybe Thomas Wangen, we'll see.
That we will. It's going to be a very interesting battle down to the line. The two drivers seem to like the NASCAR chicane for overtaking wise. The bus stop chicane isn't really the best place for overtaking. It's a really difficult section of corners. You really have to get ahead of the driver that you're trying to overtake before the corner. Sokolowski extended his advantage just a little bit, but Wangen is definitely close to the never. Only 8/10 separating Patrick Sokolowski and Thomas Wangen first to third. An overtake has been made for 8th position. Pollard's just got ahead of Brooks. So Brooks losing out on 2 positions now. Was in 7th just a couple of laps ago, and now he's down in 9th. And it looks like Evans didn't get the best of exits off of the final corner of the infield. And he's lost a bit of time to Patrick Sokolowski on the oval.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Interesting as well, Harry Brooks, the front right-hand side of Harry Brooks' BMW, the wheel doesn't look quite right. Looks like he's taken a bit of damage. Maybe he's brushed the wall or something like that. He looks to be carrying on at a good enough pace, but yeah, maybe just my eyesight deceiving me perhaps. But it looked like the wheel was slightly cocking coming through over the curb. So not sure what's going on there for Harry Brooks, but still holding a top 10 position right now as we have 22 minutes. Oh, that's a problem. Oh, God. Just shows you that bus stop chicane got to be the hardest section on the track.
It was definitely one of them for sure. And that is Pontus Löfström, who has decided he wants to pass the driver just ahead of him, both opting for the BMW. And I don't think, if I'm Pontus Löfström, I don't want that 9th position, because the top 10 are going to be inverted for the feature race. So he's currently sitting in pole position as we got a battle for the lead. Sokolowski just holding on to Evans.
Yeah,
Evans, that's less than a car length separating them now.
Oh, very close. I think you're absolutely right there, Dane, because there's 2 things. I mean, that's one of your alternative Dane Baird strategies. I like it. And he's because he's not only, he's second in the AM class, so the 3 guys in front of him are in the pro class. So you're right, pole position, and get a pole position for race 2. Good thinking indeed. You should be a crew chief as well as a commentator. So the now this is good. This is interesting. Who has got the better exit here? Has Sokolowski done enough to maintain this position heading towards the bus stop? It gets to a point where, of course, as the cars gain speed, the air resistance becomes higher, and therefore the benefit of the draft for the car behind gets greater. But Sokolowski, this is critical that he's able to defend. Wow. Oh, I thought Joel Evans was going to have a look there, but Sokolowski making it so difficult for him. Cleanly, but really, really tough.
Definitely. And he seems to get a much better run through the bus stop. Manages to cut a little bit more than Evans does. Maybe that's just a bit more confidence he has through that bus stop section, and that allows him to really hold off Evans through that area. But they're going to come through the NASCAR chicane for what will be the penultimate time as we come to start lap number 13, the final lap of the race. Race number 1 here at Daytona in the Apex Racing Academy GT4 VRS Super Series.
White flag.
And this is definitely white flag.
Flag here at Daytona. Joel Evans right on the bumper of Patrick Sokolowski. It's now or never. 1 lap to go. So, oh, look at that. Straight away, Sokolowski goes to the inside line, defends very strongly, but he's gone wide. Evans shoves it up the inside. Can he make it work? It's going to be contact. There is contact to Oh, and I tell you what, Joel Evans, I'm pretty sure Joel Evans backed out of that just to let Sokolowski go. That's good form, because, well, he just kind of drove into the side of Sokolowski there slightly. Only a minor brush, but it's definitely damage to both cars.
Yeah, a little bit. Thomas Wangen just behind. He could have taken advantage of that maybe, but he also had a problem into the hairpin there. And I don't think Evans is going to be close enough. He makes a big lunge into the final corner. Riding on board now with the third place driver of Thomas Wangen. I think Sokolowski's done enough there, unless the two have got significant damage that will slow them down. I don't think anyone can catch him at this rate, but Evans just got so loose on the exit there. You could see a whole lot of opposite lock being applied. And that just drove him right into the side of Sokolowski, but it doesn't look like it's going to matter too much. Into the bus stop they go for the final time. 25 minutes on the clock.
Evans got a run here. Evans has got a run here. He was better on the brakes. Look at that. This is the closest.
Oh, he does.
Oh, this is going to take some really... Well, Sokolowski, this is going to have to be his best defense yet. Oh, they nearly touch panel to panel on the high banks here at Daytona. We head down to the chicane for the final time. Sokolowski moves to defend his line. You can't really do too much more of that. It defends again, shuts the door hard on the brakes. Is he going to get a nudge from Joel Evans? He gets a big old shove there, but not quite enough, and it's going to be Patrick Sokolowski wins the most thrilling race of the season so far to win here in the Apex Racing Academy GT4 VRS Super Series. What a drive from the Polish ace, keeping Evans behind all the way through, and Thomas Wangen, a good podium for him. And here's Mihail Velikov taking AM-Class honours.
Side by side for 9th and 10th.
Behave yourself, Pontus! Pontus, be careful! You don't need to. You don't need to. Somebody tell him what's in Swedish. I don't know.
Oh, he's going to have him, I think, down onto the apron. Goes Brooks, but he's going to take him on the line, is he?
Brooks
200th of a second.
That was close. That was really close. So Overstrom will still get pole position. He'll be going, oh damn, and then someone will tell him, yeah, but you're on pole. Oh, okay, never mind then. Well, what can you say about this man, Dane? That was a proper champion's drive because Evans was on him all the way through that race.
Yeah, and when he lost it, he didn't give up either. Next lap, bang, made the move around the outside into the entry of the NASCAR chicane. Great move. Basically reversing what happened to him a lap prior, but it was a great drive from both of the top drivers. Both Patrick and Joel Evans did a great job keeping it mostly clean throughout that 25-minute race and giving us some great action here on Apex Racing TV.
Well, indeed, yeah. So this is how they finished then. Patrick Sokolowski wins by half a second from Joel Evans, with Thomas Wangen right behind in third place. And Wangen will start from 8th on the grid in the podium, in the feature race, with Evans in 9th and Sokolowski 10th. Roger Christensen was 4th, a little bit off the pace, but 9 seconds behind the podium group. Matthias Beer in the BMW had a few problems earlier on and finished 5th. Watch for him in the feature race too. Mihail Velikov, another AM-Class win for him in the 223 Porsche, followed by Chris Rear, Mike Pollard, and newcomer Harry Brooks in the BMW. Second in the AM-Class was Pontus Overstrom, so good for his championship hopes in that class. And as Dane Baird rightly points out, that is pole position for the inverted grid for race 2. Greg Hubler finished 11th, followed by Jeff Meitner and Will Newell. Now, I believe we have a short message from our sponsors, Virtual Racing School. Check this out.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Pekin Vrs iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a three-time world champion.
Rallycross world champion Mitchell de Jong
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
and many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the Vrs Telemetry Logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway, where we have just been treated to an absolute thriller. And if the race 2, the feature race, is anything like we just saw in the sprint race, well, we are in for a real treat. The drivers are just finishing off a quick warm-up session while we've had a chance to have a quick cool down and a chance to show you something about our wonderful sponsors, Virtual Racing School, and how what they can do to help you go faster in the sim. If you're new to watching us here on the iRacing Esports Network or on Apex Racing TV, welcome. We hope you enjoyed the action, and if you're interested in getting into sim racing, it is a lot easier than it sounds. Go onto our website for more information or get in touch with the guys at Virtual Racing School. They'll be delighted to guide you on your way to get out on track and have some fun. So Dane, this is going to be a different kettle of fish. We've got one pit stop, and the top 10 from race 1 are inverted. So going to be a completely different ball game than what we saw in the sprint race.
Absolutely, we've got the likes of Patrick Sokolowski and Thomas Wangen and also Joel Evans all going to be starting at the back of that 10-car reverse grid. So we've got Pontus Overstrom on pole position. We're going to get the grid up on the screen in just a moment's time, but they're going to have to work their way through the field and then battle for the lead with a pit stop thrown in the mix as well.
Yeah, it is. And of course, basically the pit window is the entire race because the drivers all start with the same fuel, but they can fill up. There's not a limited fuel cell, so if they want, they could come in on lap 1 if they really wanted to and fill up with fuel, and they're fine till the end of the race. And we've seen a number of occasions where some alternative pit stop strategies have really helped shake the order up of the race. So let's have a quick look at the grid for the second race of the evening. Pontus Overstrom starts in pole position, followed by Harry Brooks, who will join him on the first row of the grid. Mike Pollard and Chris Rear start from row 2, with Mihail Velikov and Matthias Beer on the third row. Row 4 will again be these Team Vikings guys. You can't split them up. Roger Christensen and Thomas Wangen, they're for the same team, they're the same country, and they're on the same row of the grid. Joel Evans starts from 9th, and Patrick Sokolowski, our race 1 winner, starts from 10th. Then will be followed by Greg Hoopler, Jeff Miner, and Will Newell as our drivers pull off, head through the bus stop for a short parade behind the pace car, and we'll be good to go for race 2.
The drivers are all going to start off with the same amount of fuel, which is enough to get them to the end of this race, but they do have to take a mandatory pit stop due to the regulations. So it's going to be a bit of a test of the driver's braking ability, who's going to be able to get stopped and get going again the quickest. And that's what we're going to see in the pit stops today. And 13 drivers trying to do that. Again, they can do it whenever they like. Obviously, once the race has started, they come through the chicane now. Pace car is going to pull off straight out of the chicane, and the field will be under the Swedes' control.
Okay, so Pontus Overstrom pacing the field in his twin turbocharged BMW. We're off. Go, go, go here at Daytona International Speedway for 40 minutes of sprint racing. And straight away, Greg Hubler comes into pit lane. Now, don't be alarmed. He is playing the alternative strategy there. So he is just taking his pit stop right at the beginning. We see this. I remember we used to see this in the old BTCC days when they had pit stops in the Super Touring days. That used to happen as well. As Chris Rear's made a great start in 4th place right now as they go past some of the guys brushing the wall there. Very, very close indeed. But Matthias Beers made a brilliant start in the Pro Class BMW. He's got some pace. It's a BMW 123 right now. Take a photograph if you're a fan of the Munich manufacturer. We haven't seen this all season. Matthias Beers going up the inside at the kink. This will be a big move. Oh, can he make it stick? This would be very groovy if he can get it. Oh, getting edged out there. I tell you what, Brooks, the Irishman, he said I'm new here, but I don't care who you are. You can be. I am not going to let you by in a hurry. But Matthias Beer, that's a harsh move. Oh. Well,
secondary contact. That is Minor.
Oh, Jeff Minor. It's not been his day at all. Oh, well. Goodness me, I feel that's an Andrew Woodhouse trademark I've just stolen. He's going to send me an invoice for that. I feel every race I watch with him commentating, he's got to fit in one at least. Oh, bang!
Definitely something he says quite a lot.
Look at... what is Matthias Beer? Sorry, Dane. What has happened to Matthias Beer? The sparks fly. Oh, he's got a puncture.
He is. What it looks like is his right rear tire.
Back right. Sorry, my apologies.
Disconnected, and it's just scraping along the ground. And it doesn't look like it's giving him any pace advantage. And there it pops back on. So that's a bit of lag with the new damage model at iRacing. There's a bit of a delay between what on our end the sim registers as contact and what registers as contact on his end. So the damage slightly different, and the sim has just caught up to itself. But here, almost 3 wide, Evans down the inside into turn number 1. He's looking for 4th position, for 3rd position, already up into 3rd. Meanwhile, Sokolovsky's still down in 8th. A lot of drivers in the pits on this lap.
That's critical. That's absolutely critical because Patrick Sokolowski really taking his time. Aha, now Thomas Wangen, you sly fox. This is interesting because we saw Thomas Wangen do this at Oran Park, where he had really good pace, but he actually made a small mistake at the beginning of the feature race. Came in, got his fast repair, did his pit stop, and got back out again. And that could be critical for Thomas Wangen. So also, that's worth mentioning for our viewers, all of the drivers have at their disposal one iRacing fast repair, which basically gives them an instant repair, and they can take that when they come in for their pit stop, and it takes no time at all. So that is, now look at Patrick Sokolowski's car, the front left portion of that Porsche, there's damage there. Now, how much that will be affecting him, we won't really know for a few laps, but given the fact that he's back in 7th, it's not been the ideal start to Patrick Sokolowski's race.
No, definitely, and he's only going to lose time battling with the drivers ahead of him. If I was Patrick Sokolowski at this point, I would probably go for my pit stop. And this is Beer making a move for the lead. He's cut the bus stop a lot there, which is a common theme among the drivers, taking as much curb as possible, taking as much grass as possible. Do that bus stop again. He's up into the lead then for Pontus Offerstrom in the 297 car. His time in the lead is over after approximately 1.7 laps, and he has now got 2nd position man from race number 1, Joel Evans, on his tail, half a second in it now.
Indeed, this is well, Joel Evans, you got to think he is right in the hunt for this race as Mihail Velikov goes in. So a lot of drivers, this is interesting, a lot of drivers taking pit stops. This is much earlier than what we've seen in many other rounds of the championship. Now, Patrick Sokolowski got his way up to 6th. He's got past Roger Christiansen, but he's still carrying on. We've seen Patrick Sokolowski pretty much without exception, basically running the tank dry and then coming in for a quick splash at the end. That's been his strategy up to now, but we haven't seen him quite in this position for a while.
Yeah, he's down in 6th, but not usually seeing him down in these lower positions. He's normally made his way through the field after a couple of laps, especially at Daytona, where it's not too difficult to make an overtake. It's not the easiest place that we visited, but he's definitely not where he would want to be, especially not with his main championship rival, Joel Evans, up into second position there. Is obviously going to be able to hold it around the outside with the advantage that the BMW has in terms of straight line speed? I don't think he is. He's dropped back. And Evans now has the position. A little bit of overspeed for Overstrom, but he's dropped back now as they come into the bus stop, braking a little bit earlier. He's now got Pollard to watch out for as Evans up into second.
He does indeed. We saw Overstrom and Pollard having a great battle last time out in Mid-Ohio for the last spot on the podium, which Overstrom managed to do, getting an outright podium in the AM class. Very impressive indeed. Joel Evans, though, he's through and now can set off in hot pursuit of Matthias Beer. Now, this is interesting, Dane, because now we're going to see really what the difference is between the BMW M4 and the Cayman, Porsche Cayman of Joel Evans. And it'll be interesting to see just how much legs the BMWs have on the straight. As we see Pontus Overstrom, well, there's a demonstration for you. He's definitely closing in all the time, imposing, menacing behind that green Porsche Cayman of Joel Evans. But interesting stuff there. Makes a wonderful noise, this as well. A proper low, throaty sound to it as well. BMW, although they've had many class wins, in fact, BMW have won the GTLM class in the last 2 occasions of the Rolex 24 Hours at Daytona with their M8 machine. This year with Chaz Mostert, Jesse Krohn, Augusto Farfus and John Edwards winning the race. And I tell you what, Chaz Mostert, the V8 supercar driver, well, he was just magnificent through the night in that particular car. But they won that race with sheer grunt along the straights, which really, really helped them a lot. But the most, unsurprisingly, the most successful manufacturer here at Daytona in terms of the Rolex 24 is Porsche. More wins than any other manufacturer, 18 outright victories and countless other victories in class.
Absolutely. Just ran a special livery in the real world Le Mans 24 hours to commemorate, I think it was 50 years in motorsports.
50
years along
years,
those lines.
50 years since their first outright win with Richard Atwood in the which of course fellow Briton of ours who won with Hans Hermann, who was an absolute Porsche legend. Really put the Porsche name on the map and played a huge part, maybe the most significant part as a driver to the reputation that Porsche have in racing today.
Absolutely, one of the most dominant manufacturers. Hints of them entering Formula One as well, with the departure of Honda for next year as well, 2022 as well. So interesting times ahead for the brand, if those are true. Also, hint of them entering the Le Mans hypercar regulations as well. Lots of new racing stuff happening at the moment.
I believe they're going to go down the IMSA route. They're going to go down the LMDH route. But of course, the convergence now between the Le Mans and World Endurance Championship organisers, the ACO and IMSA, who of course organise all the stuff here in the US, they've managed to converge a set of rules where the LMDH car can run in all. So I understand that is what Porsche are getting quite close to, and a small rumour that the Penske organisation might be involved in that. And we've seen Porsche and Penske have a lot of success as Patrick Sokolowski sends it around the outside here of Chris Rea. Can he get the move done? It looks like he's in the perfect spot to do it. Looks like he's going to get this done. Yes, he does. Yes, good move there from Patrick Sokolowski. Well lined up, moves up to 5th. But now Joel Evans, just hovering around a second from Matthias Beer. But I think for Evans, he's really going to have to think of a different place to get the move done, because Beer is going to have a bit of an advantage on the straight with that big bruising BMW.
Yeah, definitely. He's not going to be able to make moves very easily. The BMW has definitely got the straight line advantage, which is why it is supposedly quicker around here than the Porsche, which is also why it has the added 10 kilograms of ballast for this round. We're used to giving the Porsche ballast. I think it's the first time that we've actually given the BMW ballast in this series. We're already 5 rounds into Season 2. And obviously Matthias Beer, no pushover either. Overall race winner a couple of times in a Season 1. As we've got... Ooh. We're having a little bit of a look at Sokolovsky, but this train of 4 cars now, Sokolovsky really has to start getting a move on. He's losing a lot of time. 4.5 seconds is now the gap to Evans, and that is not time that will be gained back very easily at all.
No, for me, Dane, it's a little puzzling. If I was him, I would be getting out of this sequence because clearly he's faster than these guys. But getting past is another thing. And if I was him, I would be getting into pit lane, get that little bit of damage repaired that he's got on the front left, which he can do that instantly, and also get out the traffic and get some clean air. I think, unless he thinks that the draft is worth enough through the of these cars is enough through the high bankings where it kind of cancels it out. But for me, it looks to me that Patrick Sokolowski is getting held up here.
Definitely, you can see he was pretty much on pace with Evans in race number 1, but here in race 2, he's definitely being held up quite considerably. Evans just 2 tenths behind Beer, and it looks like he's gaining considerably. He's got a much better exit, and he's only about 1.5 tenths behind Beer. Even with the advantage that the BMW has, I think Evans might be looking to make a move here as they come down towards the bus stop. Beer gives him the outside line. He comes out of the draft and instantly starts losing time.
Yeah, it's like hitting it. It's like putting your hand out the window in the car on the highway. It's just that's what it's like for the car when you get out behind that big BMW. It does carry a higher footprint. As you can see, the little Cayman just tucks in behind it, and that will be punching a huge hole in the air for Joel Evans, reducing the air resistance and the higher speed that they get. But yeah, you can really see how much just got that little edge on the straight has the BMW. But when it gets to the corners, well, it's a little bit like the Hippo and the Gazelle, isn't it? The Cayman is definitely the Gazelle, much more maneuverable, much more nimble. Well, for a Hippo, it's a very fast Hippo, that BMW M4, when it gets going.
Pollard into the pit lane then for what I believe is just this regular mandatory pit stop. And that promotes Sokolowski up into 4th. Just made his way past rear. And there he goes. He's now got quite a bit of a gap to the leading AM driver of Pontus Offerstrom. And a little bit of a lunge from Chris Rea. He's not letting him go, is he?
Look at this. Matthias Beer in a drag race up towards the king, the fast left-hander. Flat out in these cars, I would imagine. And Matthias Beer really trying to... This is the bit where he's got to defend hard. He's just got to try and keep Joel Evans behind him in this twisty section, because the twisty section, the infield section, that is Porsche country. That is Weissach country. But when we get out onto the high bankings for Matthias Beer, that then comes back to BMW country, Munich country. Beer, well, he's got the right surname for a man driving a car which is built in the same city where they have the Oktoberfest.
Definitely, but Evans down the inside, and Oktoberfest was cancelled this year. And I've seen a couple of videos up online how to do Oktoberfest from home, which is quite funny to see. But Evans just not able once again to make that move stick on Beer. He was actually ahead for a little bit there, but Beer with that BMW just able to get past once more.
Yeah, he's just being able to defend in all the right spots, isn't he? But I wonder how healthy that car is of Matthias Beer as well. It looks a little bit unstable, maybe when he's just coming off the apron slightly. But yeah, certainly no problem with its straight line speed. But it will be fascinating to see. Oh, he's got runs very wide there. Oh, he's having to go over the chicane. Oh no, he'll have to serve a slowdown.
Straight into the pits.
Yeah, now, isn't that a clever way to serve a slowdown? When you're slowing down into the pits anyway. That could be important for Matthias Beer. And I tell you what, who will also be happy with that is Patrick Sokolowski. But here he comes. He's coming down pit lane. Fascinating stuff. So Patrick Sokolowski, watch the car. He will get an immediate fast repair, so that Cayman will go back to shiny brand new. I'm sure he'll be given an invoice from the Porsche parts truck, and off he goes. God, he was hardly in for any time at all there. It almost seemed like it was almost like a stop and go, but maybe the drivers maybe just got plenty of fuel. They're not worried about fuel, so they've just got to put a little splash in.
Yeah, definitely. Just take his fast repair as well. And Beers just come out just behind Thomas Wangen. Somebody just came into the corner there, but Wangen, that's a masterclass. Right there, he's come out ahead of Beer. It started when he pitted right at the back, and he's managed to put in some very, very consistent lap times. And Beer came into the pits just behind Evans, and now he's just behind Wangen. This is going to be close. If Wangen can continue to put in a good couple of laps before Evans pits, Evans might well end up behind him.
Yeah, this is going to be so exciting to see. Wangen, well, that's the undercut, and it's an uppercut as well to Matthias Beer's hopes for the race, but Wangen's clearly on hot pace, and for Matthias Beer, if he can hang on to the coattails of Thomas Wangen, he's got the pace to do that on the high banks. Just got to make sure he can just stay with him through the road course, and yeah, he could be on for a podium here. Could Matthias Beer, maybe a race win, but we'll see. Look at the gap that he just closes up there coming into the bus stop. Oh, he nearly runs into the back of Wangen. He has the straight line onto the grass. Oh, that'll lose the toe. That could be Matthias Beer's victory chances over. Maybe an outside chance of the podium now still, but oh, that was not what he needed.
Definitely not. Gonna get a slowdown for that as well, lose even more time. And there is Mike Pollard in 7th. But remember, we still have a couple of drivers who have not pitted. Your top 4 have not pitted. Everyone else has gone for their mandatory pit stop. And let's see, what is the pit delta? We've got 29 seconds for Matthias Beer. He actually lost time in the pits. Maybe taking a little bit of extra fuel than the others, but everyone else seems to be hovering around the 25, 26 second mark. So that is what we're looking for right now. That's going to put Joel Evans pretty much down to 9th.
This is fascinating stuff here. The Apex Racing Academy GT4 series, but I tell you what, it's not really good. It's big move there from Roger Christensen on Pontus Overstrom. Well, it's not good news for Sokolowski because he's come out into a whole world of traffic, and that is not what he needs. He needs clean air. He needs what Joel Evans has right now, and I suspect Joel Evans will be thinking, right, I'm going to run this tank absolutely dry. I'm out on my own, and I'm going to use that to my advantage, because when Joel gets some clean air, he is super, super quick. And I suspect that might be his strategy, just to run the car dry and then just come in and get that quick splash at the end as well. Look at the time that he's pulling out of Roger Christensen, you know, over a second a lap in some places. Really, really impressive pace.
Absolutely. Doing a splendid job in first position. You can see the gaps there on the screen for Christensen, who is currently in second position. But once the pit stops are taken by our top 3 or our top 2 drivers, they're going to be dropping down the order considerably. Thomas Wangen seems to be in the net lead of this race. The pit lane time for everyone is 26 seconds, more or less. But the pit lane delta, you've got to include how long it takes for the drivers to get from the pit exit from the pit entry to the pit exit on the normal route, which is a good few seconds. So we're going to have to wait and see what the delta is. Oh no!
Oh, that's massive. That is huge for the championship. Absolutely huge. So Patrick Sokolowski gets involved, as that was always going to happen. He was in the traffic. He'd get frustrated over those horrible curves. Wow, this could be massive. Well, if Joel Evans got a spotter, I'm sure he has, he'll be getting a notification, and that, well, the gap was there to go for it, and I think that was Mike Pollard just pulled into the side a little bit, just didn't quite give the room, but that's a disaster for Patrick Sokolowski, because of course he's used his fast repair, so he'll be driving wounded, and he's gone through pit lane to get some repairs, and off he goes now, and that car is looking pretty second hand.
Yeah, not a happy looking Porsche.
Oh no.
Up against the wall on the pit exit as well. That tells me
suspension.
That tells me his steering is not what it could be.
Yeah, and
let's see, riding on board of them as he comes around here. I think he's going to struggle. Yeah, you can see very loose on exit. He's going to struggle through the kink now. We'll see. It's a left-hand corner, the first one he's had since exiting the pits. Oh, and that car is very loose through there.
Does, yeah. I think he's got a little bit, he's got an issue, whether it be steering, suspension, or both. Well, that wall has claimed quite a few high-profile victims. Of course, in the Rolex 24-hour at Daytona, late January, it's very, very cold, especially in the dark of night. And many drivers on cold tyres have ploughed into that wall. Most notably, apologies to Ross Gunn, Aston Martin factory driver, who did that this year in the Art of Racing Aston Martin Vantage GT3. Incredibly easy to do, and the list of people who've crashed into that wall on pit exit is an illustrious one at that. But for Sokolowski, that's, I mean, obviously disastrous, but, you know, if you look at the guys in front of him, even if he can't run the pace that he wants to, he's just got to try and drag this car to the end and just see how many places he can gather, because if others get involved in incidents, which they might well do, he'll be able to gather some points, and, you know, with a couple of rounds left. But that, that hasn't helped his championship hopes, but Joel Evans, he will be happy indeed. I'm sure he will be getting a message right now to say that Sokolowski's had an issue, and I suspect Joel will just happily lap away at the front here. But like you said, Dane, that pit lane delta, Thomas Wangen's the man to look out for. He's still not got the gap that he needs to come out in front of Wangen.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how long the delta's going to be once you take into account the time taken on the regular route, but it is going to be close, there's no doubt about that. 20 seconds is the gap, 26, 27 seconds for a pit stop. This is going to be very interesting indeed. And we're just over halfway through this race as well. Joel Evans has another 40 minutes he can last. Or another 20 minutes, I should say. As he comes through the bus stop for the 11th time. Just a few more laps and we would have completed the same distance as we did in race number 1. But we're just waiting on the top 4 still to take their pit stops. I think they're going to leave it till more or less the end.
Yeah, it looks like, I think they're now, like they say, they've made their bed, now time to lie in it. This is the decision is made. Joel Evans will just run this car until it is on fumes. And of course, whoa, that was close. Big oversteer moment there. That would have been pretty big on board there, nearly running into the outside wall. So he's pushing is Joel Evans, but yeah, he can, of course, as this car gets lighter with the fuel load burning off, the car's going to get quicker as well, so we can run some good laps on low fuel, and then, of course, just come in for that tiny little splash at the end, and that could just be, well, could be pivotal to the result of this race. It's going to be fascinating to see. We've got two drivers who are nowhere near one another on track, but they are, don't make no mistake, they are mired in a very close battle right now.
Yeah, it's an invisible battle. They're chasing after numbers at the moment. But once Joel Evans makes his pit stop, we're going to have a massive fight for the lead. Worth noting that Matthias Beer is not dropped back. He's only a second behind Thomas Wangen at the moment. So in the event that Evans does come out very close to those two, he could also be on for a win. Remember, the BMW much quicker in a straight line, which will help him on the NASCAR Oval make some moves. If you can get close enough, if the drivers ahead of him start battling, it's going to be a lot easier for him to overtake a Porsche than for another Porsche to overtake a Porsche. And Patrick Sokolowski has just moved up into 11th.
Okay, so Patrick Sokolowski, this is where championships are won, when you recover from what could potentially be disaster. He's just got to try and drag that car with all his might to just try and get it over the line in as best a position as possible. It's not the time to give up. Many would give up at this point, wouldn't they, Dan? You see a lot of people get frustrated and then just sort of throw the towel in and give up. But doesn't look like Patrick Sokolowski's going to do that. Looks like he's going to drag this car all the way to the end and gather as many points as he can.
Definitely that massive curbs there that he's got to avoid in the NASCAR chicane. We've got a bit of a battle going on between Chris Rea and Pontus Offerstrom. Oh, and look at the line being taken here by Chris Rea. Much wider on entry, giving him a great exit. He's going to look to the inside as they come to start lap number 13. Both of these drivers still have not pitted. They're going to come in towards turn number 1. I fully expect Rea, there he is. Makes the move before turning. Great stuff. He's up into 3rd position.
Yep, he is. Chris Rea, this is the best run we've seen from him all season, actually, I would say. And he has Pontus Overström behind him, who, if Pontus was able to get by, this would be the 2nd outright podium in a row for the AM class contender, and really lay down his, his campaign for the AM class championship. Now, one notable exception from the AM class field today is Mark Herron, who has had a reasonable season. He's been quite lucky a few times, but he's still there battling for the AM class title. And with him not here, well, that's not going to be ideal.
No, definitely not. Very unfortunate, but starting to close up on... No, they're not. I've completely misread the time. It's about 30 seconds or so between Evans and the first lapped car, which would be Jeff Miner, with 15 minutes or so left in the race. That's going to be 7, possibly 8 laps left to go. So still plenty of time for these drivers to make up some moves. Overström with the BMW definitely has an advantage over it. It's going to be interesting to see, can he keep up with him? Despite being the slower of the 2 drivers on track, with the added help of the limited draft from the Porsche, is he going to be able to stick with him? And look at the gap that he's just closed down 0.2 of a second just on the NASCAR ranking.
Wow, that's especially when you consider the 2 chicanes in there. That's a big old close down, isn't it, from Pontus Overström in that BMW? So that's the joy. That's what I love about if you have balance of performance regulations as they do in the sim here, as they do in the real world in the Michelin Pilot Challenge, which these cars run in. And of course, you've got 2 quite different vehicles, of course. The Porsche, naturally aspirated, flat 6 engine, mounted right in the middle of the car. And this BMW, well, is twin turbocharged. This is a straight 6 engine, 2 big turbos, engine out in the front. Completely different design, really. And they have to balance them out to try and get the performances close. And they do a great job, but the simple fact is that the BMW, not quite so manoeuvrable in the corners, but very fast in a straight line, and the Porsche is kind of the opposite of that. And that does provide excellent racing, because there's points where whenever one car is weak, the other is strong, and that means that there is opportunity for switchovers in places.
Yeah, absolutely. These cars complement each other pretty well, which is why we get such good racing in the ARA GT4 Super Series. But just looking at the gap now, Wangen has dropped back by about a second over the last couple of laps. That's not what he's going to be wanting to see. Joel Evans doing a good job of extending his advantage a little bit. Still waiting for him to make his pit stop though, with just over 10 minutes for him to do it. Thomas Wangen just had to hold on for a little bit longer. He narrowly missed out on a 2nd position in race number 1. He's going to want the win here.
Yeah, Thomas Wangen's been sort of knocking on the door for the last couple of rounds, and just had a couple of little mistakes that have just cost him when he's had chances for victory. He definitely could have won in the feature race at Oran Park, but one tiny mistake cost him so dearly at the opening corner. But he's looking to be much smoother today. Really strong, getting through the chicane there very tidily indeed. And look at that, Matthias Beer just closing up on the high banking, and then Wangen will pull away on the infield. But Matthias Beer, he's not out of this, not by a long way.
Oh, side by side for 3rd, and that is the BMW of Pontus Overström, who's got past, and oh dear!
Oh, big one.
That is a big hit into the wall. Looks like he might have just gone onto the grass and it just dragged him out there.
He did, yeah. It looked like he just put one wheel on the right-hand side grass, and that put him into a bit of a tank slapper. And those guardrails are not forgiving at all. He will have a lot of damage on that car, will Chris Rea. So he's got Pontus Overström sort of putting a bit of pressure, and this turn 1 is really tricky. Rea goes wide, Overström goes up the inside, tries to defend the line onto the sandy part. There's that switchback, gets into a tank slapper, round he goes, whack, straight into the guardrail. And you'll see just on the right-hand side of shot there, it's where the media centre is at Rolex 24 Hour. And they have, one of the best things I've ever seen, Dane, is an unlimited free Gatorade machine.
Well, that is definitely...
That's hospitality for you.
Here's Greg Hubler then. Currently down in 9th position. He's got Newell just behind him. 4 seconds down the road is Patrick Sokolovsky trying to work his way back up. I'm not too sure if he's going to be able to close up that gap. He has got a very damaged car. And it looks like he's pretty much hovering around the 4-second mark behind these guys. It looks like 11th is where he's going to end up. But Hubler in the 299 car, currently sitting 3rd in the AM class in this race. Not too bad at all. And he's managing to keep Newell at bay.
He is indeed, and Will Newell is quick in that Iridium Motorsports machine. The man from a land down under. Just over 9 minutes to go here at Daytona, and Chris Rea has had to come into pit lane. Now, has he pitted already, Dane, or has he left it late? He hasn't. Well, this actually, as far as a crash like that goes, it's not too bad, because now he can take his mandatory pit stop, fast repair, woof, off he goes. No problem at all. So Chris Rea actually will not have to pay such a heavy penalty for that mistake.
Yeah, just the time lost from the incident itself and getting back around. Got to be a bit careful on the rejoin though, touching the white line a little bit. Don't want to do that too much. Get a nice big penalty given to you by the automatic race control. Didn't exit the pits correctly. We're going to make you come back down and do it again.
Yes, I think I spotted that. I think that might be, well, we won't really be able to tell. It was very, very close anyway. But that would just add insult to injury. And we've all done that. And it's the most frustrating thing in the world. But would be the same in the real world. And that is what iRacing is so good. They call it a simulator for a reason. And the technology, Dane, just continues to just amaze me. If you think about the accuracy of the circuits here, they're all laser scanned, as are the cars. And a lot of the time, consultation with the manufacturers. I believe the BMW M4 would have been scanned at Turner Motorsports, which are very close by to the iRacing head office. But the fact that drivers from all over the world, we see Matthias Beer here, the German, looking to make a move on Thomas Wangen, the Norwegian. We've got Joel Evans, the Welshman, up in the lead. We've even got guys in Australia, and of course we're commentating in 2 different parts of the UK. Our producer Sam is from Finland. So, and this is all happening in real time. It's an extraordinary piece of technology.
Absolutely, but Beer making the move on Wangen up the inside. He has the acceleration advantage, and that is him up to what I believe is a provisional lead, but they have lost a lot of time doing that. And there is Roger Christensen coming out of the pits. You can see him just at the bottom of the shot. He's going to come out just behind, which makes me believe that Joel Evans is going to come out in the lead of this race.
It would appear so. Yep, they're certainly taking just a quick splash and dash in the pit lane. Well, that is massive though from Matthias Beer to make that move on Thomas Wangen. I'll be honest, I didn't expect it. As you can see, Wangen is absolutely all over the back of him with that nimble Porsche. But all Matthias Beer has to do, I say that pretty loosely, all he's got to do is just try and somehow keep Wangen behind him. Whoa, Wangen has a bit of a moment there. But he's just got to get on to the safe haven that is the high bankings, and then he can just wind up the Munich missile and maintain that position.
Oh, and there he goes.
Look at the drive.
That was a great exit from Wangen up the inside. Once again, slowing each other down. They've lost another second, though. Evans is going to be loving this.
Side drafting. This is some side drafting. Come on. He's going to look at that. Matthias Beer getting some side drafting action, pushing by. Now, has he got the guts to make this stick going into the bus stop? Wangen is side by side. Who's got the guts? Oh, it is Matthias Beer. Well, what a groovy move that was from the man in the Austin Powers Mobile. That's the pre-watershed version of the name of that car. As he gets through into second position. Now Joel Evans. Well, We've only got 5 minutes and 15 seconds of this race remaining, and if you're wondering, well, why can't Evans go all the way to the end? If he can, the pit stop is mandatory, whether you need to take it or not. So everyone else in the field is taking their pit stop, so it's now down to Joel Evans. When is he going to dive into pit lane?
Well, he's going to have to do it very soon. Only 3 laps left of the race. Here is Sokolovsky. He's up into 10th. He did get past Greg Hoover. And he's now having a little look on Newell, making that same move again around the outside into the NASCAR chicane. That adds him up into 9th. So, good recovery drive from him so far. Went all the way down to 12th. He's managed to claw back a 9th place. And there is 14 seconds up the road to Chris Rear. I don't think he's going to catch that up. But let's see then. Joel Evans currently coming around the turns 1 and 2 of the NASCAR oval, I believe. There he goes down the Daytona super stretch in towards the bus stop.
He looks so tidy, doesn't he? Just really, really smooth, maintaining the momentum so nicely. It just takes so much skill to do that. But Joel Evans, he'll be running that tank absolutely dry. There won't be much left in that long-range fuel tank. Of course, these cars on a full tank can go for an hour and a half, one of the longest fuel ranges of any car in the iRacing Simulator service. Now look at this battle going on between Thomas Wangen and Matthias Beer. Oh, Matthias Beer just slots the BMW in the front of Wangen, and that puts Wangen back into the clutches of his teammate. Roger Christensen is finally our leader, comes onto pit lane. Joel Evans is on pit road here in Daytona. Let's see where he's going to come out in. Is he going to come out in front, or is he going to come out in traffic? We'll see.
Let's see how long his pit stop takes. Oh, he's done that very well indeed. Comes to a full stop, and he's already back out.
But he's pushing. My word, he's pushing hard coming out of the pit lane there. He's at full racing speed coming out of the pit lane. Knows that he's in a hurry, but he's looking at our relative boxes. He looks like he's going to be fine. Yes, he is. He comes out safely in the lead, and he will now be by a mile, and he'll be able to cruise home from there. Of course, there he goes on the right-hand side of the screen there. But now Matthias Beer, now it's up to him. He knows now he's battling for second place. He's got the 2 Team Vikings cars behind, who I'm sure will want to pick his pocket at any moment. But Matthias Beer is doing what he needs to do right now, defending in that BMW.
Absolutely. Oh, a little bit loose with Thomas Wangen. He's pushing ever so hard as they come. This is the penultimate lap, I believe. And yes, it is. So, white flag next time by. It is pretty much now or never. He's going for that same move again. Beer defense to the inside. Wangen is going for the inside move, and it's hard on the defensive is Matthias Beer, not giving any space at all to Thomas Wangen, and he manages to pull back ahead. He's going to have the draft now, but the BMW has enough pace to keep up with him. We've seen this time and time again. And I don't think Wangen has enough speed. There he goes. You can see revving the engine, coming down the super stretch again, back into the draft. He wasn't close enough. Pulls out to the outside now, in towards the bus stop, and he's just not close enough. Once again, he's only going to have a couple more overtaking opportunities. Now a little bit loose into the bus stop.
Yeah, now Matthias Beer will be close to getting a slowdown there, but tell you what, he really did defend well there. All he had to do, well, I say all he had to do, he had to really make sure that he had the BMW parked just in the right place on the apex of the corner of the bus stop, and he did exactly that. And as you can see, he can easily defend on the power, but the Porsche is better on the brakes. It's more nimble through this chicane. He closes up again. Oh, Matthias Beer gets a little bit wobbly over the curb. White flag is out here at Daytona International Speedway. Who is going to take this second place? Is it going to be the BMW of Matthias Beer or the Porsche of Thomas Wangen? But Roger Christensen, don't write him out. He's right behind there in the blue striped roof of the Team Vikings machine. Is Matthias Beer goes wide? Oh no, is he going to let them both by? Looks like he might do. He'd really have to gas it up hard, but looks like Wangen's going to escape. Matthias Beer now got to worry about Roger Christensen. Christian goes to the very wide line to cut it back and get on the gas early, but just can't. But there's a big BMW in the way, but that has allowed Thomas Wangen to get by into second place, and he's pulled quite a number of car lengths already.
just not what he needed. Just had to keep his composure for one more lap. And into turn 1. That was an awful mistake. Locking up, maybe just braking a little bit too late there. It's one of the most difficult braking zones in any circuit, on iRacing at least. Really got to be careful there, and he wasn't. He just went a little bit wide. And because of the nature of the corner, you're braking whilst turning, he just pushes you out wide. You understeer like mad, and that's exactly what just happened to him. And he's lost a good second and a bit to Thomas Wangen, who's up into second. Christensen a little bit further behind, but he's definitely not close enough to make a move now.
Doesn't look like it. Nope. Well, this is going to be Joel Evans' race then, with a 10-second lead with his championship rival Patrick Sokolowski in 9th. This is a critical point in the championship here in the Apex Racing Academy GT4 Super Series. Joel Evans flashes his lights. He comes through the chicane for the final time and back on the gas for victory here at Daytona International Speedway for Joel Evans. What a beautiful drive. His 3rd win on the big oval road courses in the United States in this series, as Thomas Wangen finally gets the result he deserves. 2nd place for the Norwegian, very closely followed by the BMW of Matthias Beer and Roger Christensen. And this man, well, driving quite a quiet race, but a very strong one indeed. Mihail Velikov, 1st in the AM class, but Pontus Overstrom back to 7th place. And here comes Patrick Sokolowski. What a disastrous feature race for him. A win in the sprint race and then hit problems in the feature. He will not be happy about that, I don't think, Dane.
No, he definitely won't. I don't really think it was his fault either. I can see a good few protests coming in for the league admins, but yeah, really unfortunate for him. He gained the lead at the championship, and yeah, it's just not been his race. He had a great race 1, but just wasn't able to make it in the feature. I'm not sure how well he would have done. I'm really interested now to see how well he would have done if it wasn't for that incident, because he was behind Thomas Wangen, I believe.
Yeah, it looked like he just didn't get away. I mean, Joel Evans really had a good job of getting through the traffic. Evans has been fantastic at that, getting through the traffic in the feature race. And as Matthias Beer does some wonderful Smoky Donuts. They stop for a little kiss, and then Matthias Beer reverses back. He's obviously not keen for that, and they both leave the session. What a good day's racing at Daytona International Speedway down in Florida. So let's get a look at the results. Joel Evans then confirmed as your winner. Thomas Wangen 11.3 seconds behind. Matthias Beer, his long waited podium for the BMW man, 11.7 seconds behind, and very closely followed again in 4th by Roger Christensen. Mihail Velikov was the AM class winner in the 223 Porsche, followed by Mike Pollard and Pontus Overstrom, who bagged some more good points for his championship challenge. Chris Rear finished in 8th, with Patrick Sokolowski, his worst result of the season, in 9th place. Will Newell was 10th, followed by Greg Hubler, Harry Brooks, and Jeff Miner. Now it looks like, yes, we have a couple of drivers waiting to chat to us in the interview waiting area. So why don't we chat with the German the German Austin Powers, Matthias Beer. Let's have a chat with him before our winner comes in to join us. Matthias, congratulations on a podium finish. How does it feel?
Hi, Peter. Thank you very much. Great to be back on the podium. Yeah.
And how is? I hope you like your new nickname as the German Austin Powers.
Oh yeah, it's very groovy. I think it's very psychedelic.
Well, that paint scheme on that car is fantastic. Now, tell us about your day at Daytona, because the BMWs, it's been hard work for you guys for most of the season, but here at Daytona, you could really let that Munich missile fly. Tell us about how you found it out there today battling with the Porsches.
Yeah, today I was a bit struggling in practice because I didn't get the grip that I was used to have, and yeah, the straight lines or the oval corners, they help us on the BMW, but we had 10 kilo ballast this time. Usually the Porsche has those 10 kilo ballast. So we were really struggling in the infield, and so about lap 10 I nearly had any tire left on the front, so I was really struggling there. But yeah, it was really great. Lap 1, race 1 was a bit too excited, but Overstrom did the same mistake, but we had cold tires, cold brakes, but I got lucky on that. And in race 2, the last laps, or even the half of the race with Thomas Wangen was really great battle.
Well, it was certainly great for us to watching the comparison between you both. Now, Matthias is a podium finisher and live here on the iRacing Esports Network. Who would you like to shout out to on the broadcast?
Yeah, I'd like to shout out to my family. Hi, you were watching. Hope you enjoyed. This time with no big mistakes. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the show.
Well, we certainly did, and I hope the beer family certainly did as well. Matthias, thanks so much for coming to chat to us, and hopefully we'll chat to you again next time out.
I hope so. Thank you, Peter.
So that was Matthias Beer joining us for a little chat, and now my wonderful colleague Dane Baird is with Thomas Wangen.
Yeah, let's get him in there then. Thomas, welcome to the interview room then. And a not too bad performance from yourself this week.
No, thank you. It went very well. From a couple of last races, not so good.
Yeah, definitely. You had a great race one. You just hanging back in third position behind the other two drivers. What was your plan of action for that race in case something did, in case the drivers in front of you did start battling as they did in the end?
The race one was the best spectating place, so I had the best view of the race, so I can't see anymore.
Well, in race two, you had it all to do. You having a great battle with Matthias Beer whilst also trying to catch up to Joel Evans, who was a good 20 seconds up the road, but you had him on pit stop delta, and you still had to get past Matthias Beer, and you had a great battle with him.
Yeah, in the first lap in the race 2, I was in contact with Sokolowski, so I got a little bit of damage, so I went straight into the pit. So, yeah, and take it from there. I think I had the fastest lap of the race as well, so pretty happy.
Absolutely, and then you just stormed on your way past Matthias Beer right at the end. Were you happy with third position at the end, or would you have wanted something more if you didn't manage to get past Beer at the end there?
If you look back on the last couple of races, I will be very happy with the third place. But when he did a little brake mistake on the last lap, I don't see any opportunity to just pass. And we tried to take Roger with me, so yeah.
Hey, Roger, your teammate getting fourth position in both races as well, so it's a good result for the team as well.
Yep, pretty happy. I have only done 6 laps before this race because a little bit tired of racing lately, so maybe this was the boost for next one.
Well, the next one is at Road Atlanta. We've just had Petit Le Mans over the weekend. What are your thoughts heading into that one?
I can say something. I have over 1,000 laps in GT4 on that track, so I can't get fast enough to next Monday and Tuesday. Sorry.
Well, Thomas, thank you so much for joining us. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
I will give a shout out to Clean Racing this time. That was fun, and every guys showed up every week. It's fun to race with them, and a big shout to Roger in my team and my team as well.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us. Congrats on the 2 podiums, and yes, we'll see you in a week's time.
Thank you. See ya.
So that was Thomas Wangen coming in to have a chat with us. And interesting, Dane, that he was saying that how he maybe just got a little bit of, just a little bit jaded with his racing, and then a result like that can really get the motivation back. That's nice to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone sort of goes through those times, at least everyone that I race with goes through those times where it's just a little bit difficult to motivate yourself after a run of bad results, as Thomas has just had. But it just takes one good result and it can definitely spur you back on again. And that seems to be what happens here. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do in the final 2 rounds.
As am I. I think it's going to be very exciting. And of course, we've got 2 more rounds to go with the battle between Patrick Sokolowski and Joel Evans. And I think it's going to go right down to the final race. And to be honest, it is impossible to call at this stage. That's about all we have time for tonight on the iRacing Esports Network and Apex Racing TV. Thank you so much to you all for watching this broadcast. We hope you enjoyed all of the racing this evening. A huge thanks to my commentary pal, Dane Baird, this evening, and to Sam Kuno for the wonderful production, graphics, and images throughout the race. You can find more information about our racing leagues at www.apexracingac.com, and you can hear about all the different leagues that we have. We have the Apex Racing League GTs, touring cars, Porsche Cup starting very soon as well, so do be sure to check that out. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time in the Apex Racing Academy GT4 VRS Super Series.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Pekin Vrs iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the Vrs Telemetry Logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.